Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's media availability with Premier Susan Herron and Public Safety Minister Robert Gauvin and Roger Collet, a wildfire prevention officer.
You turn it on.
Good afternoon, everyone. Media availability with Premier Susan Holt, Natural Resource Minister John Herron, Public Safety Minister Robert Gauvin, and Roger Collet, a wildfire prevention officer. Bonjour à tous et bienvenue à cette conférence.
Welcome to this news conference with Premier Brunswick Susan Holt and Natural Minister John Herron and Public Safety Minister Robert Gauvin and Roger Collet, Wildfire Prevention Officer.
Before I turn things over to the Premier, I would like to remind everyone to ensure their microphones are placed on mute. Avant de céder la parole.
Before having the Premier say a few words, make sure to mute your microphones. Également, j'aimerais vous laisser savoir.
Are available. You can access them by clicking the interpretation button at the bottom of your screen. Premier.
Thank you, Katie. Good afternoon, everyone. I know that many of you have been watching the news and seeing the updates from your friends, your neighbors, your local community, and from various government agencies on social media. So you know what I'm about to tell you, which is that the wildfire situation in New Brunswick has gotten worse since we were sitting here on Saturday. Je sais que beaucoup de vous autres suivent.
I know that many of you following the news, you see on social networks the photos of forest fires and of the answer of the planes, and you're listening to the information from the government, from your municipalities, and you know that the situation in the forest fires in our province has worsened since we've been here last Saturday.
Right now, 3 fires are labeled out of control. One in Miramichi, one in Irishtown, and one outside of Bathurst. Some New Brunswickers are preparing for potential evacuations, and Minister Herron and Minister Gauvin will provide more details. Actuellement, à ce moment,
At the present time, there are 3 out-of-control fires, one in Miramichi, in Irishtown, and one just outside Bathurst. There are some New Brunswickers who are preparing to possible evacuations. The Minister Herron and Minister Gauvin are going to provide more details on those.
successfully able to get a wildfire near Canterbury tamped down before it was able to grow. So that fire is now under control. But we know that the hot, humid, windy weather is going to continue for the foreseeable future. It was hotter today. I think Bathurst recorded higher temperatures than we've seen in some parts of Florida. So we need to take all possible precautions to avoid the spread of the existing fires or the starting of new fires. Nous savons que le température
We know that the temperatures, high temperatures, are being hot and humid, and with the wind that's going to continue in the foreseeable future. And we should take all precautions possible in order to avoid the spreading of the fire or new forest fires.
time for our province. And I want to reassure folks that our entire team in the Department of Natural Resources and Public Safety, firefighters on the ground, people working in our emergency measures operations command centers that the ministers and I visited today to drop off veggies and fruits and say thank you and keep going. We are doing everything possible to protect you and your communities and our forests. C'est une période effrayante.
It's really a scary period for a lot of people in our province. I'd like to reassure people that everyone is working really hard on this issue. The Department of Natural Resources, Department of Public Safety, and local people on the site, and the firefighters and those who are working in our command center for emergency measures, where we visited them today to offer them a bit of food and to thank them on your part. We're doing everything possible to protect you as well as to protect your communities and our forests.
I will provide more details about what we're doing to keep New Brunswickers safe, but know that that is our top priority, to keep New Brunswickers safe. I'll pass it over to Minister Herron for more technical details.
Thank you very much, Premier. As I said on Saturday, that there is a clear expectation by New Brunswickers, Canadians in general, that they want their governments to be proactive in these situations with respect to combating wildfires. That we, as a department, and what we saw today, whether it be at Forest Protection Limited, whether at the JPS EM emergency measures operations itself, that the full machinery of government is seized with this moment to ensure that we take all precautions possible to keep New Brunswickers safe. I'll provide some of the updates. Some of this information has been touched on by the Premier, so for apologies if there's for repetition. That as the Premier has pointed out, that there are 3 live events that would be fires that we would consider to be out of control, that have seized, obviously, our firefighters' attention for the most part. We are heartened by the fact that we were able to tamp down one fire that was out of control in the Canterbury area. The Oldfield fire continues to burn. It is approximately 450 hectares in size. At the moment, we are unable to get in front of that fire, but we do have the capacity to help steer it away from people. So that's where our efforts are with respect to the Oldfield fire itself. We're obviously extraordinarily live to the issue of concern around Irishtown, that the area of concern, that particular polygon, has as many as 900 structures in that region that potentially could affect an estimated 1,500 persons. My colleague, the Minister of Justice and Public Safety, he'll speak to how we will have the process with respect to alerting and potentially issuing evacuation orders. I do want to say, if there's a theme that we've been trying to emphasize in the Department of Natural Resources, is that we want to be on our front foot as much as possible. We want to be as proactive as we can, test to see what else we can do. So in that process is that we are adding to our resources with respect to combating fires, is that for the first time, I believe ever, we've actually requested boots on the ground from our neighbors. Now, we have a tradition where New Brunswickers have sent firefighters to our neighbors. We have a pretty large arsenal of highly trained firefighters, but we've requested through CIFC, which is the Canadian Interagency for Forest Fire Centre, we've requested 60 Type 1 firefighters. We've already received acknowledgement that we're halfway there, that an attack unit of 20 persons will be coming from Nova Scotia, that there are there's a 5-person strike team from Prince Edward Island, and we believe that we have 5 firefighters coming from the state of Maine as additional resources as well. Something that will be new in a New Brunswick context is that we're adding 2 air attack helicopters. Now we have these helicopters on lease, but we are repurposing them to carry water buckets. Those water buckets will arrive this evening. The advantage of having those particular aerial assets is that they are immensely precise. So that will be adding to our inventory. We also have a request out through CIFC for an additional CF 415, those large super scooper water bombers that we already have 2 on loan for us to combat fires, mostly in the Oldfield fire in the Miramichi. They're based out of Baie-Comeau, Quebec, and we've made a request through CIFC for one or two others of those 415s. They will be very helpful as we aim to get efforts to get in front of the Oldfield fire itself. Also, in terms of just making sure that we have more boots on the ground, is that DNR offices, effective 4:30 today, they will be all closing. A number of firefight or DNR personnel are also highly trained firefighters. That's where we're focusing our energies on a go-forward basis. And so I think that concludes my update. But if I could send one message, is that we're trying to be proactive, trying to be on our front foot, not being as only being reactive, by proactively getting added resources, whether that be personnel or equipment, to help keep New Brunswickers safe.
Mr. Gauvin.
Merci, thank you.
Merci, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
Les
The measures that we're asking you to take are measures, like the Premier mentioned, they're measures that will keep you safe, but as well, measures that are going to help our employees who are working in the forest right now in extraordinarily hot temperatures, and they're putting their lives at play. We have to think about them as well. At the present time, the risk for forest fires are extremely high in our province. We can understand that it is an extremely stressful period for people who are close to these forest fires, wildfires.
Every New Brunswicker for your cooperation and for following directives. This is helping emergency personnel to do their jobs and keep them safe. And like my colleague, Minister Herron, said this morning on the radio, I know people in New Brunswick, they get it. They get what they need to do, and they know why we're asking this. This is for your safety, the safety of your communities, and the safety of firefighters putting their lives on the line. Donc, nous exhortons.
So we're also asking people in our province to continue to make decisions that are judicious. So please remain outside the forest. We can't repeat it enough. These are not punitive measures. You just need one accident. Doesn't take too much when the forests are in the conditions that we find them now.
Urging New Brunswickers to keep making smart decisions like staying out in the woods and fire areas. We understand that public could be curious and concerned about the fire, but this is not the time to go near wildfires. If you want to help the firefighters right now, they need the space, they need the roads. The best thing to do, if you're not working there, is trying to stay out of the way, please. Now I'm going to speak a little bit about evacuation. These wildfires are posing a real threat to the people and their property. We are asking people in the Irish Town, Tankville, Evangeline, and Lakeville areas to be prepared to evacuate on short notice. Les résidents des secteurs d'Irish.
Our St. Friends said the people from Irishtown, Tankville, Evangeline, and Lakeville should be ready to evacuate on short notice. All New Brunswickers should have an evacuation plan and an emergency kit. If you do not have one, get one ready. If you don't know how to do it, you'll find that information on the website for OMU and me, Emergency Measures Organization.
And an emergency kit. If you don't have one, make one. If you don't know how to make them, there's more information on the NBEMO website. Make sure your family knows what to do if an evacuation order is issued. Also, make sure to prepare a backpack or bag in the event evacuation order is issued. This should include essentials like water, food, a blanket, flashlight, radio, batteries, first aid kit, prescription medication, infant formula, cash, and a spare set of clothes. I
know that the threat of evacuation can be really an anxiety period, but the Department of Justice and Public Safety and all our partners within the government and outside the government have been getting ready for many days. If an evacuation is deemed necessary, we'll inform you. You'll see it on TV, you'll hear it on radio, you'll read it on their phones and on your computers. We are going to find a way to reach you.
We will let you know. You will see it on your TVs, hear it on your radios, read it on your phones and computers. We will find a way to reach you. But until that time, please keep calm and be prepared. Now I'm going to speak a little bit about road closures, just for more information. The current detour on Route 8 is still in place. The situation is being monitored. District staff are ready in affected areas with barricades and signage. Remember that the crucial part of being prepared is staying informed, and we say that all the time, try to stay informed. New Brunswickers can follow NBEMO and GNB on social media as well. The latest information will be posted there and on the Firewatch webpage at gnb.ca/firewatch. Les New-Brunswickois
New Brunswickers can follow Emergency Measures Organization, the Government of Brunswick, on social media. The latest information are going to be published on these networks and on the Forest of Fire, GNB Forest of Fire Index.
Enough how much we need to work together on this, because we are all in this together. So again, please stay out of the woods and prepare yourself and try to be informed. Je vais terminer en français en disant,
I'm going to say in French, we're all in this situation. It affects all of us. We're all working in this together because we want the same results. So I would say get ready and get informed, and please, for everybody's safety, keep outside the forest. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gauvin. I'm going to continue in the same vein of thought. We are extremely thankful that New Brunswickers are following the advice that we've given. And a few days ago concerning access to Crown lands, and we really appreciate that you want to take care of others. I'd also like to thank our partners, the municipalities, nonprofit organizations, and events, and everybody that is working with us to inform their residents and to inform their neighbors and their clients of the situation.
Huge thank you to the people of New Brunswick who have been following the directives that we issued on Saturday. And I want to recognize all of the municipalities, the nonprofit organizations, event organizers who have partnered with us to communicate to their neighbors, to their residents, to their clients, and to their attendees, and who have made adjustments to their plans in the best interest of keeping our province safe and reducing the risk of forest fires. It's heartening to see that we all want to take care of each other and protect these forests that we think of as so close to our identity here in New Brunswick. I'll echo Minister Gauvin's comments. Now is not the time for fire tourism. There have been people who have wanted to get that great picture for social media, but we need to keep our roads and our emergency areas as clear as possible so that the people responding to fight these fires can do their jobs. So please, if you don't need to be out, don't be out on the roads and trails where the emergency responders need to get access. I want you to continue to do the things that your local communities and firefighters are asking you to do, as Minister Gauvin said, to be ready in the case of things getting worse. I'd
also like to thank the help from our neighbors. Like the Minister Herron said, it's the first time that New Brunswick has asked help, and we usually offer help and aid. So I really appreciate that our calls to the province of Quebec, then Nova Scotia and PEI and the state of Maine, they were answered us.
To thank my colleagues in Quebec and Nova Scotia and PEI and Maine, who, when I called to say, hey, we need your help, the answer was speedy and positive in every instance. Our neighbors are doing what they can to help us, the same way that New Brunswick has loaned out our firefighting expertise to our neighbors this year and over the years. And so a big thanks from me to the folks that have, to my colleagues that have responded with that support. I want to remind you that the best source of information about the situation is at gnb.ca/firewatch. La meilleure source d'information.
The best source of information that you can find at gnb.ca/fire index.
Trying to help share information. This is where you'll find the most accurate, the most up-to-date information for what is happening. gnb.ca/firewatch. We are seeing some disinformation being spread on places like Meta and TikTok that is being generated by AI. That's why it is best to look for official sources from the province or from your local community. Nous voyons à ce moment que
We're seeing that there is information that is generated by AI on platforms like Meta and TikTok. So we're asking you, it's preferable that you look at official sources like .ca, a fire index, and information from your municipalities.
wrap up with a huge thank you to our firefighters, our responders, to the staff at Natural Resources, to the staff at Public Safety, to the folks in the EMO who have been working nonstop since Wednesday, many of them around the clock, sacrificing time away from their families to make sure that we are doing everything possible to keep our province safe and to keep our people safe. Thank you for your dedicated hard work, your tirelessness, and your sacrifice. Our team is here to support you and make sure you have the resources that you need to do your jobs. And New Brunswickers have shown us that they are also here to get out of your way and let you do the important work that you're doing to keep us all safe. Merci du fond de mon cœur.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart for all those who work around offices and natural resources, public safety, and in emergency measures organization, and on site, the firefighters and our partners have been working since last Wednesday, day and night, to make sure that we're doing everything possible to ensure safety of our province and for New Brunswickers. Thank you enormously. I really appreciate it.
Members of the media. Each reporter will have the right to one question and one follow-up, and you have the right to pose your question in the official language of your choice. We'll now proceed to questions from the reporters. Each reporter will have a right to one question and a follow-up question. You have the right to ask the question in the language of your choice. So, at the CBC.
You had mentioned the size update for the Oldfield fire, 450 hectares. Could you just share the updates on the size of the fire for the other two active ones, and if there have been any new evacuations in those respective areas?
Sure. I can take that on. So we have, and this can change by the hour, sometimes even by the minute. So directly speaking, the Miramichi fire is approximately 450 hectares. The Irishtown fire is at 54 hectares. The other new live event that is deemed a fire that would be in the Bathurst region. It's new. I don't have an exact figure on how many hectares, but I can share this. We were at Fire Protection Limited this afternoon, and it would have been like 15 minutes, 20 minutes later, those same planes that we saw, just when we had visibility to that first ignition, they were already on site, dropped the water on that to help contain it, to the point that now we have taken off the aerial assets, and now we're fighting it on the ground, boots on the ground. That's a strong signal that I'm optimistic that we'll get hold of that particular third event very quickly. And that's how quickly things can become problematic, but that's how quickly that the men and women at DNR and FPL are able to act to respond.
Should I just ask without them? Okay. Several of you mentioned that we need to take all precautions possible right now, so I'm wondering if there's any thoughts to introducing fines like we've seen in other provinces?
So fines are currently in place and always have been in our Crown Forests Act. Those remain in place today, and I believe that to date, 2 fines have been issued to people who have broken the fire ban and had open fires in the woods.
Are you able to say where that was?
No. I can try to find out for you, but.
Marco Castada, Radio Canada. Marco Castada, Radio Canada.
Oui, bonjour, m'entendez-vous?
Yes, can you hear me? Yes, good afternoon. I was just wondering, is if that everything is emergency, like water bombers, the planes, water planes, do we have enough to fulfill, to control these forest fires now, to fight? Yes, I might answer that question. At the present time, we have 2 helicopters who are being made available, and that's going to start tomorrow morning because we're trying to, waiting for the buckets for these helicopters. We have 2 C-415 water bombers who are in the based in Bécamo that are available to fight the fires at Oldfield, and we have a team of 802 water bombers in the base here in Fredericton, FPL. Yes, thank you, Madam Premier. We're really happy to say that we have 4 other water bombers, or the 802s. They're planes from JDI, JD Irving, and JD Irving is a really, really important partner at the present time. Margot, do you have a follow-up question? Yes. That's more for the Minister of Public Safety. Mr. Gauvin, you put the stress to try to reach the public. Since this morning on the field, people have been concerned to not have enough information, mainly on evacuations or if the fires have increased. What do you answer to these criticisms? Well, I totally understand the people and the concerns on this issue. Like Minister Herron mentioned earlier, the information changes on the hour, so we're always working on that. But as for the question on evacuations, the experts on the field, as soon as they tell us that it's going to be time to evacuate, we're going to make sure to reach the population on their phones, on TV, radios, and we're going to make sure to reach the population. And we give information when we receive it. We cannot invent information, but you can rest assured that when we do have information, that's why we have these press conferences. As soon as we have information, we give it out. It's really important, but we want to make sure to give the right, correct information. Thank you.
Good afternoon, folks. Appreciate the time as always. Wanted to ask first about a plane that made an emergency landing, I believe, off Route 10. I could be wrong off the top of my head. Can you just update what that situation was and what happened there?
I can speak to that. Is that you are right. It was Route 10. That plane ran into mechanical difficulty last evening. It may be related purely to fuel. We'll have more to say about that in the next day or two. We're very heartened by the skill of that particular pilot, is to make that choice following all necessary protocols. The plane landed safely. That the asset is still protected. It will fly. It will fly again. So will that pilot. That the skill of that pilot made sure that the plane was safe, he was safe, but also New Brunswickers were safe. Is that we're executing that landing as he did meant that plane did not crash to the point or cause an incident where flame could have occurred in those forests. So that's the situation as it sits right now. I was alerted of that about just after 9 o'clock last evening.
And just to follow up on a slightly different note, of course, we've got about a few weeks left in summer before kids are back at school. And of course, many New Brunswickers naturally want to get back into the forest. What will it take for that to happen?
What will it take for that to happen? Yeah, a lot of rain. That's, I was going to say, an act of God. What we need is rain. We need the forests to get the water that they need to not be as dry and as in tinder-ready conditions that fires can start with just the slightest bit of heat that could come from a motorized vehicle, that could come from a lens, from a spark or otherwise. So if everybody can get out their best rain song, rain dance, rain prayers, that's what it'll take to get to the point where we know that the risk of fires is down, and we're encouraging people to. It's a great time to go out and take your dog for a walk on the beach.
Johnny James, Global News.
Hi, my first question is for either Minister Herron or Minister Gauvin. The Fire Watch site is obviously a very important tool now for residents, but there is a fair amount of information contained in that site. I just wanted to ask, what data specifically, just to kind of cut through the noise, that residents should really be monitoring and paying attention to?
I'll take I guess almost from the title of the site. It's Fire Watch. There's a PDF that's available on that site that I would urge folks, if you're curious about what's happening around the province or potentially even in your extended neighborhood, to go to that site. There's a PDF that lists what fires are still active to various degrees. You'll see all of those 14 fire events still there, and you'll see in particular those 3 fires of concern. So that's where that's the place that I go to first with respect to other information, perhaps related to EMO and evacuation type of things. I may refer to Minister Gauvin to respond to that part.
Yes, well, emergency measures, Fire Watch is a good place, but also you can have conversations with your local district. We also going to follow up on, if there's a need for emergency, we will let you know, like I said, speaking specifically for people in Maple Hills. If and when there's a need, we will find your device, whether it be TV, radio, or phone, and we will let you know. This is a situation that is constantly moving, so we try to keep on top of everything. But like my colleague said, Fire Watch is the best place right now to take the information.
Well, and I would just add, maybe it's well, I won't make that dig, but the minister likes the PDF. My preference is the live dashboard that gives you the GIS model of the province that lets you see all of the fires and click on the specific one you're interested in to get a sense of its state: out of control, contained, managed, put out. You can see the resources assigned to that fire in the moment live. It tells you at the bottom of the page, last updated 9 minutes ago. And so you can get the sense very quickly of where it is. You can zoom in to the coordinates of the location and see the changing of the deployment of resources, the changing of the state of the fire. And so I like that live dashboard view myself, that if you click on the dashboard, that's what it'll give you. And I think Roger has his probably favorite part of Fire Watch to point you to as well, Johnny.
Yeah, so I think part of that came from generational, is that I like a static PDF, the Premier likes the high technology. Roger probably can expand on that part of it.
Yeah, I use all of those. Definitely, the burn status is number one. We won't see that change for a while. Just going to mention, like they are talking about some rain this week. It's not going to be enough to make a big difference. It's going to help. But we're going to need a lot of rain and prolonged. So this may, even though we may get 20 mils, it's not going to be enough to stop all of this. So it's going to be continuing for a while. So as we move forward, to kind of go with that question about going back to school and stuff, it's hard to say what happens over a period of 2 weeks. Weather conditions change. And we can really only predict out, reliably a few days at best. So, yeah, keep an eye on that webpage. It's got lots of information there. There's also some weather information, so fire weather information. So there's, kind of, you can pick out some of the weather stations in the province and just see what the conditions are in those areas. So there's lots of information there. You can look around, and I'm sure there'll be lots of stuff that you enjoy looking at.
Johnny.
And to just follow up on that, in terms of evacuation, I believe this would probably go more to Minister Gauvin. For those who don't have many options for alternative shelter, if they need to evacuate, maybe their closest family is far away or out of province, or maybe they're homeless and don't have a place to go to begin with and need to move due to an evacuation. What are their best options right now in order to find a place to go to be safe?
Well, right now, we're going to take the situation that is existing right now, which will be in Maple Hills. And we know there's about 900 structures, about 1,500 people. And we've spoken at length with the mayor and Lynn Chantal Boudreau, our minister, also the MLA for the region. There's a Kia Center has been made available. And so that's a place that people should go if they don't have a family member or somebody who can take care of them. We also know that there's a long-term care facility for 9 people there. So the center is made available for that. So in this existing case, we worked out something that people can go to. And if it happens somewhere else, well, we'll find a way to make it work there as well. So but for this existing case, there's a place to go.
John Chilbeck, Post Media.
In the same vein, I was wondering if there's an evacuation carried out and there's the odd person who doesn't have any media, like they don't have their phone, TV on, radio. What do you do? Are you going to go door to door? Like, how's that going to work? Well,
there might be some of that, but also there'll be police officers there patrolling, so make sure that nobody is left behind. We are already watching this area because of the possibility. So right now, like I said, the municipality has been great. The mayor's been great. We have a center. Police officers will be on the ground, and the people there are ready to help to find anybody who would be, vulnerable.
Sorry, I missed the name of the center. What is it called again?
Kia Center.
Kia Center.
Yeah.
Okay. And do we have a sense? I know there are lots of different kinds of firefighters, and you have lots of personnel. But how many people do we actually have in the woods fighting these fires right now?
Yeah, that would be on each, if you, as the minister mentioned, you can click on each fire, and so there should be a number of resources. There'll be equipment as well, so most of these fires all have bulldozers working on them, some excavators, aircraft. So some different equipment that should be listed there too. The tankers, so the trucks that we're using as well. So those would all be listed there. So it'd give you an idea of what's on each. But yeah, just to have a solid number, I don't have it right.
Last I checked, I thought it was either 115 or 120, but that's literally the first column is personnel deployed. Maybe it's 122 now because the numbers have been increasing a little bit, but that is the first column on the dashboard. You can see the people on the ground.
Natalie Surgeon, CHCO TV, The Courier.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
I'm just wondering, just to, I guess, follow up on John's question. this is the first time I think the minister mentioned that you guys have called for help from other provinces. I'm just wondering what that strain has been like, having multiple fires at the same time for crews that are on the ground.
Oh, well, you can imagine the strain on the resources, Natalie. We have so many pilots, so many firefighters, so many planes, and the team is making decisions every day about which fires we can contain, where people are at the most risk. That was one of the reasons why there was a shift in deployment from Miramichi to Irishtown, where there were structures and people and lives at risk, and we needed to move assets there because we didn't have enough assets to put full resources on every fire that was going. That's part of the reason why we needed to call to my colleagues in Maine and Nova Scotia and PEI and Quebec to get more on the ground as more fires burn and burn longer, and put more pressure on our system, because people need breaks. I know people were wondering, how come the planes aren't flying 24/7? Pilots need to rest in order to do the job safely, the same way that firefighters need to rest in order to be safe out there in these exceptionally hot conditions and equipment. And so we have to make sure that we're looking after the responders as best possible, and using our people and our assets at the best times possible when the fires are hottest and moving most quickly. And we, as John originally said, we want to be on the front foot. We want to be getting ahead of these, as the team has been successful in doing in Canterbury, and we hope up in Bathurst. But we could use more resources, and I'm very grateful that our neighbors said yes to our request for help.
Natalie, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if I could, I know you've mentioned that when you determine if there's an evacuation required, specifically in Irishtown, what is the threshold for that? Is it if the fire is a certain number of hectares away from the closest property? Is it the determination of wind and what direction it's going in? I'm just wondering if we could get clarity on when you'll know, or what will let you know that you need to issue an evacuation for those folks.
Well, it's a combination of all those things. It's the wind, it's the distance, and we are on the ground and we are working on our side. But as soon as the experts tell us, we will put the message out. But it's a combination of all those things, and we are watching it very closely. We've put it yesterday in advance so people have a chance to prepare. That's the best thing we can do, because, like I said, prepare your backpacks, get ready. We hope we don't have to, but if we have to, we will be ready. But in the meantime, we're waiting on the experts to tell us when and if the situation arises. But it's a combination of all that you mentioned.
Teresa Blackburn, River Valley Sun.
Yes, I was speaking yesterday, actually throughout the weekend, with the fire chief in Canterbury, and he mentioned drones to us, cautioned people on using them, saying that planes can't do their work when drones are in the air. I wanted to know whether or not there have been any issues with drones for firefighters. How much of a problem is this?
We haven't had any issues with the drones yet. But we know they have been up on some of the fires that we did go to. This we found after the fact that we've seen on social media that some of the pictures are being posted. So we know that the drones are going up once in a while. Not sure when. The hope is that it was after we were done working on the fires. But there is a NOTAM around every fire. So legally, you cannot fly a drone on the fire scene without permission from our department.
And maybe just to,
And what-
to add to that, if I could, don't do that. Just don't do it. You're putting people at risk. Do not put our pilots at risk. So it is not something that is encouraged. We have men and women who are on the ground, in the air, doing everything they can do to keep New Brunswickers safe. Don't do things that put them in harm's way.
Do you have the ability then to close the airspace to drones? Can you say that? Or is that just, it's automatically an issue and it's already there in some kind of legislation somewhere?
Automatically the case. If it's deemed a wildfire event, you are not allowed to fly through that space with a drone. And so that is the case now, and folks who are doing that should not be. That's why the government had been putting out those messages saying exactly that. Do not fly your drones over a live fire event, because as Roger just said, that's a no-go zone, and you're not able to be there.
Hina Alam, Canadian Press.
Hi, Premier. I was wondering, I probably missed this, but can you tell me how many people and how many structures are at risk at all of these out of control fires?
I think, yeah, that right now the fire that has risk of structure and people is the fire in Irishtown, the one in Oldfield Road and the one in Bathurst up near the old Bathurst Mines site, and Nipisiguit Falls is not near people or structures, but I think Robert just gave the figure of about 900 structures and about 1,500 people in the community that has received the heads up to prepare for evacuation.
And my follow-up was, I was wondering, it's a two-parter. I was wondering if you could tell me how much rain, what is the amount of rain that we've had this year, and what's the difference between last year and this year, and what's the average? And there are people who say that they're losing their right to walk in the woods because of these restrictions, and it almost seems like the latest cultural obsession. And I was wondering what do you have to say to people who have all this universal anger all of a sudden toward this this plea, this request from the government to keep out of the woods?
Well, I'll leave the historical rain data. Maybe we can send that to you in a follow-up, because I think you were asking this year, past year averages, so we'll get that to you. But I do want to speak to the people who are frustrated by the notion of an inability to go hiking or fishing, and I understand that frustration. It's something that we all love to do as New Brunswickers, is to get out into the woods and to do that with our family, our friends, our pets, and otherwise. And the notion that me going for a walk in the woods is going to cause a fire, I can understand why people think that that's ridiculous. But the reality is, it's not that you might cause a fire. It's that if you're out there walking in the woods and you break your leg, we're not going to come and get you, because we have emergency responders that are out focused on a fire that is threatening the lives of New Brunswickers. And if you take your boat out fishing in a pond in Crown Land and you capsize, we're not going to be able to come and help you out, because our first responders are focused on an immediate and serious threat to our province. And so it's the possibility of diverting emergency resources away from where they are really needed, which is why we're asking New Brunswickers. This is something we're asking them to do. There are private woods where you can do what you want in New Brunswick, but we're asking you to make the safe choice for our first responders, for your neighbors, and for our woods. We can do that on the public lands that the government has authority over, and we're asking you to recognize that, yes, you want to go for a walk in the woods. Okay, well, like there's a lovely walk just nearby that doesn't threaten our first responders and our response to a dozen fires in this province that are getting worse by the day. And we need to keep our trails clear, our roads clear. We need to have as minimal barriers to the effective delivery of firefighting and to putting these out as possible. So it is an ask. We are asking New Brunswickers, please find somewhere else to walk with your friends and family right now, so that we can keep the risk of having to care for you in those places that are hard for us to reach, while we care for the people whose homes may be under threat in Irishtown, for the people that are experiencing fires outside the Miramichi and Bathurst.
Okay, thanks everyone. I'll pass things back to the Premier now for some closing comments. Merci tout le monde. Je vais passer la parole.
Thank you. Now I'll leave the Premier to final words. Thank you, and I'm just going to conclude. with the reassuring words that the team is working full-time to find solutions. We're doing preventive work. We're doing active work. We're asking for help. We're using it to do everything. And we'd like to thank you for all what you are doing to help your neighbors and your communities. And that we're going to continue to communicate with you. We're going to be here Wednesday afternoon for another update in case there's something else that to say in a more urgent manner. We'll be there as well. But we thank you for continuing to work with us to make our province more or safer to protect your neighbors.
Hard the team is working, doing everything possible proactively to prevent further fires and to tackle the fires that are in front of us. Those partners, those municipalities, and you, New Brunswickers, are helping us to keep this from getting worse and worse and worse. And I want to let you know that we're going to be back here Wednesday afternoon to provide you with another update, unless the situation changes so dramatically that an update is needed from us sooner than that. I want to say thank you to everybody who has been following along, who has been careful to share accurate information, who have been checking in on their neighbors and vulnerable folks to make sure that they're aware of what's going on so that we can all get through this with as minimal problems as possible. Thank you for putting your province first.